Okay. In our last transaction set, we've actually created a contract. We've done the allocations. We price fixed it. Now I'm going to go into the inventory receipt. And again, it defaults to purchase contract. I'm going to do a receipt on our purchase contract, and I'm going to move it through the rest of the process. So I'm going to go ahead and pick my purchase contract. And again, the contract that I had picked was 2733. That'll show up. I don't need to remember much. It basically is going to fill that particular contract in. I'm going to put the lot number to which I can put the container number into the lot. So I'm going to put the container number into the lot number right here. Okay, so I'm going to put my lot number, which is going to be my container number. I'm going to put that in. Parent lot number I can either have or not. I'm going to go ahead and pick a sublocation and a storage location. Again, these are the particular places that I'm holding this particular good. I'm going to pick those out for myself there. And now at this point, I am going to go to the other charges, and I'm going to track which charges need to be accrued. And I'm going to go ahead and select all those for accrual. You'll note it brings up all my charges. I'm just going to click accrue for all those charges. And then from there, I'm going to save and post. I can just go right to post. That's going to post my inventory transaction. And from there, it's also going to post my accrual vouchers. And from there, we're going to show you how to actually move the voucher forward. So that's completed from that step. Okay, so at this point, I've posted my transaction. It's going to show up in my purchasing module. So if I go to my vouchers, and if I go to the actual new, I can create a voucher for this particular transaction. I can go to the vendor EX. I can go ahead and it's going to automatically pull up my transaction. It's going to go ahead and extend the amount. I'm going to select it and add it to the voucher. And at that point, I can save and post the voucher after I enter an invoice number for that transaction. The other piece that you'll know kick is in our approvals transaction system. So I do require approval when I enter a transaction. So I'm going to go ahead and submit that for approval. And now it's successfully submitted and it is awaiting payment at this point. All right, now one of the beautiful things here too is I've completed that voucher. I can now do my Dupi storage voucher. So I can just hit DU and I can do my vouchers, Dupi voucher storage. Go ahead and pick that vendor. Again, I can look it up by name. I can look it up for any way I want. Now then, again, I can actually select that actual invoice. So I can just say add payables, and I can find the actual invoice that was off of, and I can add that onto my particular contract. So I'm going to pick this receipt off the 2733 contract. I'm going to add that in there. I'm going to go ahead and close the selection. So now I've got it. And I've got the $120 charge for my storage expenses. And I can go ahead and save that transaction after, again, I enter the invoice number. Have to start remembering that. Post it. Now this transaction is also submitted for approval, and it's going to be ready for payment at that point. So what we're going to do next is approve the transaction. I'm going to show you real quick how transactions get approved, and then we're going to go ahead and post them. Now you'll note I've logged in to the system as another user, Joe Approver, which is very quick. I'm going to go in and hit Approve Transactions. That's going to bring up all the transactions for which I have to approve. And I'm going to approve these couple transactions that I created, the Dupi and the Expo transactions for the coffee and the storage. I'm going to go ahead and click on those two transactions, approve them, and hit Save. Now that'll push them along in the process to be paid. All right, now I'm back into my login, as you can see, George only. I'm going to go into pay the vouchers. Now this voucher payment lets me select the vouchers by due date, by specific company, by checking account, by any process that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and pick my checking account. And then I'm going to go in and look for my vendor so I can pay those. And I'm going to look for my transaction, and I'm going to look for my other vendor, Dupi storage, and I'm going to pick that bill. And now at this point, I can say I'm going to process these by check. I'm going to go ahead and process the payment for those transactions. and that's actually going to create a payment for those transactions, and it's actually going to set me up, queue me up to print my check. So at this point I can print my check, or I could create an ACH file for this transaction to actually pay the bill. Now from here, it's simply a matter of me previewing my check. Now again, these can print to Micker so that I don't even need check stock. This will generate to pre-printed check stock in Micker. When we create our check, you're going to get two reports. You're going to get a settlement report and a check. If you choose to use the settlement report, you can use that. This is a detail of the check as it would print and process against the bank. So at that point, you can actually print your checks. And once you've printed your checks, you can commit them to the system so that they're actually done and available on your check reconciliation. So I'm going to go ahead and commit those checks. Now those checks are committed and the payment process is complete. Again, we can pay these via ACH. We can prepare positive phase as well. So now that my checks are committed, they're actually going to show up in the bank cash reconciliation module inside of cash management. So I can go into cash management, I can pick bank reconciliation, and I can pick my Chase bank account, and we'll see those two transactions for the 5/2 date, and those transactions can be cleared from this particular window. All right, I didn't commit those checks, so I went back and committed them, and now they're available for selection on the check reconciliation, right? So I can put my ending balance and reconcile those checks if I want. So if my ending balance was 210 and only one check cleared, that would allow me to process that transaction. And basically what this allows me to do is pick any transactions I've cleared. So you've seen the process actually bring it from contracts right to the final step where we would reconcile our bank account.